know, life's too short to settle for less. You deserve the best. I like how you like how
Welcome to the Petty in the Post web show. Today we are talking about Patrick Beverley, a newfound Laker. We're also talking about Chet Holmgren and his injury, along with other NBA topics, as well as a sneaker report on Bloomberg about some kind of nefarious Ponzi scheme. We'll see. Petty's got more about that. And we're going to finally talk about She-Hulk. Petty, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm just happy to be here. I want to apologize to everybody. We got so excited on our first episode. We didn't get a chance to get to She-Hulk, but we know that we got to have sprinkle a little bit of pop culture and what's going on, what people are talking about. So we'll make sure we talk about that today.
All right. Looking forward to it. All right, fantastic. So let's start with the topic everyone's been looking forward to. I know you've been hard at work, Petty, looking at hours and thousands of hours of film, finding the best, your favorite Patrick Beverley moments. So, again, the JFK thing. Where were you at when you found out, when you saw that Woj bum and found out, hey, Pat Beverley is going to be on my team?
It was kind of surreal. It's kind of like when you get like a concussion or like a bad car accident, but you're like not physically wounded, but it's just like a surreal situation.
Yeah, you got spooked, right? You're like, oh.
Yeah. It was like those like 2000s movies where the guy's standing still and everything's going around him super fast. Yeah, time's going by. That's how I felt when I heard the devastating news. No, but yeah, I was. I think
that video when he's like, "Stop playing."
Yeah.
How
I actually found out about like 30 minutes late. I had to get my jokes off. I ended up making that meme, the John Wick one. And I was surprised that people saw it, because I usually when I'm late to like hearing something, I won't like say my piece or anything outside of like just saying my opinion. I won't make the memes because it's like it might be too late. But man, that one picked up steam.
Yeah, the memes went on for like 2 hours. It was wild. So it was an interesting night. I did not expect that either. And the next thing you know, it was a flooding of news on Pat Bev being a Laker. So yeah, it was crazy. So what were your overall thoughts? Were you sick to your stomach? Are you happy? How are you feeling about Pat Bev and rooting for him after all these years, kind of being the villain?
It's kind of conflicting. The way I can describe it, and it's on a much lower level because Pat Bev is not one of these players. But remember that time that like Magic Johnson was like sneaking wearing like a Celtics jersey to mess with like Larry Bird, and just that visual of that picture is just like, man, like it just doesn't look right. That's how I feel about it. Like imagining Pat Bev is like in a Lakers jersey is difficult for me. But like if I look at it from like an X's and O's like standard, it's a good move. It's just like there's just so much history there. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. Obviously, I have failed to mention, in case you haven't heard, Pat Beverley's coming to the Lakers, and the trade involves Taylor Horton-Tucker, aka THT, and Stanley Johnson. So they're both gone, and a lot of people were mad about why Stanley Johnson too. And as we got more details, the money had to match. They were like $70,000 short. I believe Eric Pincus tweeted that out, and they had to get a player, and that was the player with the lowest contract they felt comfortable moving, and obviously everyone has to agree. So that's kind of how that went down.
Also, I learned this too because I asked my sources, petty sources, about why is it that they didn't do that for Wenyen Gabriel? And you might know this, but I didn't. I know our capologist Dalton probably knew this, but that if a contract isn't guaranteed, that it's worth $0 going out. So that Wenyen Gabriel, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you guys move Wenyen Gabriel instead of that? Because that's why I was like, man, why? Like if he was like our only kind of big wing defender, right? And then we also getting rid of THT. Like, so who's gonna be doing that power forward, defending those power forwards and big wings, right?
I can't think of anyone on another team who fits that description.
But the most polarizing part of this, and I know that you're gonna get into it.
Right, it's a couple of things. It's Pat Bev and who he is, right, and how he acts, and also how is he going to be on the team with Russ? And I saw a lot of people, you know, especially the Laker haters talking about, oh, Pat, Bev, and Russ in the same team. And I felt that, like, in my mind, I had that Magic Johnson meme. I'm like, he's not gonna be here.
Yeah. Even my meme, like, people were like flocking to it. The one that I made about them, like, in practice. But in the back of my head, I'm like, this is just fan fiction. Like, it's funny. It's funny to talk about, but like, if you bring Patrick Beverley to your team, when you have Russell Westbrook, who's like, you know, has all these accomplishments, you don't care about how Russell Westbrook feels at the end of the day. Like, it's not because he's probably not going to be there, right? So,
right, exactly. So it's pretty interesting with that regard. Now, some people might wonder, well, what's the deal? Well, so let me give you a real quick, the short version. It's a story that's been going on since 2013. But basically, in 2013, the Rockets played the Thunder, and in Game 2 of their playoff series, you know, Pat Bev was doing Pat Bev things. He was going aggressive, and he, you know, accidentally injured Russ. He ended up having to have a meniscus tear, needed surgery, and his season was over. And ever since then, it's been like the minute they see each other on the court, off the court, it's been aggressive. They were aggressive with each other their first regular season encounter the next season. They've been both kicked out of games, talking smack to each other. And of course, we have the famous Russ quote once asked about him, saying that he just runs around doing nothing. You know, he tricks y'all. Y'all think he's a good defender. He just runs around doing nothing. And I think even last year, right? Last year was like the last piece of beef we had. When the Lakers played the T-Wolves, Pat Bev was all over the place. He was stealing the ball. He was dominating.
Oh, it was
terrible.
Then
when Russ was missing shots, he was ducking. And then he did the stink face and was walking around. He literally flexed in front of everybody. It was crazy. And that's kind of where things are now. So it's kind of hard to believe, you know,
and not to mention,
bygones after.
Not to mention, he went on, at the end of the season, he went on First Take, and of how many people he attacked, right? Chris Paul, everybody. Yeah, exactly. And you know, he pretty much talked about too him, you know, as a Laker, what it would be like. You know, we have the clip right here. Are we gonna do the audio for that too? Are we able to do that? Yeah, I don't think we're getting any audio for that. But the gist of it is basically that he said, you know, if I come to the Lakers, ask currently constructed, which is pretty political. Like, it feels like a lot of people, I've seen Guru, you know, people talking for a couple months since like May that he knew that he possibly could end up as a Laker. You know, he was doing this whole campaign on First Take and saying a lot of incendiary things about people. I don't know if it was that he tweeted it out or if he said it, but he just basically said that, like, you know, that what Russ said about him, like, affected his career, right? You know?
Yeah, he was talking on the podcast with JJ Redick on JJ Redick's podcast. And that's what he said. He said that people, it did hurt him. People started to think they started to believe Russ. They're like, oh yeah, he's all movement, no action. And he said people was like, he said the next game people were really going at him. Like they thought he was trash. They were like going hard to paint against him. And he's like, why is everyone playing like a playoff game? Like, what's going on? It's because of that. So again, he's had a chip on his shoulder. It's part of what makes him great. It's part of what makes him irritant. But he said a lot of slanderous things about the Lakers. You know, he called LA a Clipper town. He called it a bubble chip as well. So it's kind of crazy seeing him on this side. I would love to ask him questions. I would love to ask him questions at his, you know, jersey introduction, just so he could go back. I'd be like, so what do you think about the Lakers championship now? I'm sure he'd be like, oh no, it was like one of the hardest ones to get.
Oh man. That's crazy. Like, that's why people were like, oh, we're gonna go to like the receipts. Like, bro, we have receipts on him literally talking trash about our franchise. So there's not no you know, like, oh, you know, no love lost in that sense. Like, and believe me, if he plays as bad as Russ did, he gonna hear it the same from the fans too, right?
Absolutely.
He struggles the same way. So I personally, I didn't feel bad about it when people were like I saw Clippers fans, like you're saying, on the timeline talking like, oh, you know, we got these receipts, Patrick Beverley, you want to know how they really feel about you? Like, yeah, you were talking trash about us, about our fan base, about our players, about our championship. What do you want us to say? You want us to be like, oh yeah, I totally agree, it was a bubble chip? Like, no, it's on site, Pat.
It's also a Clippers town. Come on, man, get out of here. He said he made it. He made it to the Clippers town.
He must be talking about a barbershop because he ain't talking about basketball.
Yeah, he must have named the barbershop Clippers town. He's like,
yeah.
But I can't wait to see Petty with the Patrick Bev jersey. I can't wait for Golden Knight to come out with some merch.
That's gonna
be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. Fantastic. So the other thing we want to talk about, other big news, unfortunately, not as lighthearted, was Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Woj also reported this, right? That he has an injury in his right foot and he's going to need surgery, and he's out for the year. And this happened, of course, in that Pro-Am game in Seattle that LeBron was a part of, that was, making so much news because everyone was just so hyped. Seattle has a WNBA team, but we all know they lost their NBA team when they went to Oklahoma. So it was a big thing. He was guarding LeBron, and again, it was a freak accident. But also, I think the other big thing here is they had to cancel this game due to a slippery court anyway. So there was already danger and health. The game got cut off after a quarter. So obviously it wasn't a good condition if they had to cut the game short, pretty much the whole game. So
hey, tinfoil hat. You think maybe because of that injury that they cut I know that they said that, but I was just thinking they probably didn't want that to get out that he was injured, right?
Right. Yeah, well, I think it's possible that they with the floor being wet and people falling, then they saw, hey, Holmgren's not doing too good. Let's just kill this. Which Crawford did. Smart that Crawford did kill it, right? This is the biggest day in Seattle Pro-Am sports, in a while, right?
Probably history, right?
Yeah, probably history, right?
Who else has shown up to that?
They had some people. They had that was where Javante was wilding out, bopping the players on the head and stuff. So they had some pretty good ones, but no one as big as LeBron.
That's what I'm saying. I think that you could argue that that's probably the greatest day in that crossover game history, right? Because
and to cut it short like that's a tough decision to make. He did make it.
Did Kobe? I think Kobe maybe had gone to it before actually, but I'm just saying that. Yeah, recently, there's not something that's ever, that's probably really important for them. So it takes a lot of gall to do that, right? To cut that short.
Yeah, exactly. He had to cut it extremely short, nowhere near what it was supposed to be. So that was a tough thing for him to do. And it just sucks that there's still, even with that, there's still an injury involved. And it got a lot of people talking on Twitter about, should they even be out there? Should they even be playing for free, even though, it's a great thing? So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, should they be out there? Obviously, we know they're allowed, at least for now. There's a collective bargaining coming up in a couple years here. How do you feel about it? Obviously, we want Chet to be okay, but besides the bigger picture of NBA players in the Pro-Am, what do you think?
I think it's important. I think sometimes we get too focused on the business side. Don't get me wrong. There's so many other things that are put in place to protect these players for their careers and their bodies. That if they could just be at practice, think about what happened to DeMarcus Cousins. He was just doing warming up in the off season, right? Doing a practice or doing a scrimmage in the off season, right? To try and keep your body going. To me, I feel like if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And it's you kind of have to your training and the stuff that you put in your body and stuff is really what's gonna determine what your body can take throughout your career. Because it's LeBron's 37, and he was out there and he didn't have an injury. Chet Holmgren's a guy who's kind of coming into the league. People had concerns about if his body could hold up, and it's kind of ringing true because he's stretched very thin, and there's been and I don't, this doesn't mean he's gonna have a bad career. There's been so many examples of people who missed their career, missed their first year and are having good careers. Blake Griffin, Embiid. Oh, he missed multiple seasons, and then
but he missed his first one, the big one,
Yeah, and Ben Simmons too came back and won. That was controversial and funny about him winning Rookie of the Year over Donovan Mitchell. But yeah. So I personally think that it's that if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Obviously, there's exceptions to that rule. Of people they're playing on a bad court, or they're playing the person's reckless, in the way that they're playing. That's one thing, but I think we should not lose that. There's people who camped out the night before because they're never gonna have a chance to be courtside at a game. Not many of us have had that opportunity. Flex.
Yeah.
I
didn't get the invite that time. It's cool,
we're working you up to. I'm trying to get you in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I felt like that Kanye line. I'm like, not only did I get a chance to kick it, Petty told me to buy 2 tickets.
Dang, well, you spitting bars. Okay.
Like, you don't know how StubHub works? You could just
exactly. Show up. I'll get you. Once you get in, then that's when I can hook you up. No, but no. Shout out to the GOAT, Aaron. Just put that out there.
I know Aaron too, so that's even worse. But anyway, we're gonna talk about that.
But yeah, shout out to the GOAT, Aaron, man. I just have
Aaron's
to
good people.
Pay more respects to the legend, man. A lot to that guy. But yeah, so like I said, I think there's like that aspect that we shouldn't lose, like the people playing at Rucker Park, like that experience. Like, I don't want those to ever be lost. I think there should be, I don't want to see the players out there playing like it's the NBA Finals, but them going out there and competing and playing, like, I want to see it, and I think it should never stop.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe, I don't know if the NBA can do something like, especially at least for a game that's like a legit game, 4 quarters and all that, if they can just have someone there or some kind of way of authorizing, hey, like, we deem this court safe or something like that. And that's about it. That's all you can really do. So if they can do something like that, some kind of compromise of that, hopefully this doesn't become an issue. But like you said, it can happen anywhere. There's, secret 5-on-5s all over New York and LA that happen where players are going 100%, super hard. We know LeBron, right? He's going to do a little pre-training camp thing, and that's not authorized. But it's totally fine because they're getting ready. They're preparing their bodies to, play for the season. So yeah, obviously, hopefully, Chet's okay. Of course. But I definitely don't think that it should end just because of this one injury. It's a freak injury. So many players played during this summer, and it's the only injury we heard about. So
Yeah, I think too. I think too. Like I said, I feel like I don't want to like say I can't say for sure, but I feel like where he's at physically, this could have happened at any point in at all. Like, people are as big as the biggest LeBron in the NBA. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was just kind of like a freak thing. It was like he didn't even like he played him right, the position and everything. And I actually think I saw his foot slide a little bit. I'm not sure, and it felt like after that. So I don't know. I said, freak accident, but I don't want to lose like the history of the game, like Dr. J going out there and playing. Like, people who see that, they still tell those old stories about like the time that Kobe was at Rucker Park, or like, you know what I mean? Or I remember during the lockout when it was Kobe versus Harden. Remember that one where hit the game winner over him? Like, no, we need that. Like, it's part of the culture. Some things that are bigger than just the game is like than just like the business side of it. And I don't think it's something that's so radically radical situation. It's not like they're doing like a boxing fight or like, you know what I mean? It's like like off season MMA. Like, it's nothing like that.
Yeah,
so
it's an exhibition game.
Yeah, I feel like it's not something that should change.
All right, yeah, I agree. All right, so we'll quickly go through a few other news things on the basketball side here. Obviously, one of the bigger ones, we didn't start with it because we start with the Lakers, but probably in the general NBA is, it turns out, hey, you know what? Like, Kevin Durant kind of likes the Nets, So Brooklyn tweeted this out a couple days ago. I'm gonna read it real quick here. The following statement has been released by General Manager Sean Marks. Steve Nash and I, together with Joe Tsai and Clara Wu Tsai, met with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman in LA yesterday. We agreed to move forward with our partnership. We are focusing on basketball with one collective goal in mind: build a lasting franchise to bring a championship to Brooklyn. And in the bottom, not his signature, no one's signature actually, it's just the Brooklyn Nets basketball logo and then the boardroom logo. So I found that really interesting. So Petty, what did you think when you saw this? What do you think now that you hear that? It looks like, everything's good in Brooklyn actually. Nothing to worry about at all. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, everything's good. Next story. No. Like I said, I think it's egregious the amount of fonts that they used in that thing. I don't know if you can get that up there, Dalton, but the amount of fonts that were used in this letter was absolutely horrific. Like, it was so completely unnecessary. But I do also think, like what you're saying, the way that it was signed with the boardroom and the net symbol, I think that's a basically like a very symbolic of where the NBA is with basketball and their stars, and I think it makes it unique to basketball in a way. There we go.
Yeah.
I think it's what makes it unique to basketball in a way, because they it's a partnership now, and it's like that's not going to change. You can change the collective bargaining agreement where it hurts the hurts the players more, or that it's more fair financially. But at the end of the day, like if a player doesn't come, people it doesn't come to work or doesn't show up, then they're like nobody's gonna want to watch the team, and the team's worse for it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always gonna be some leverage that's never gonna go away. I'm not saying that the leverage can't shift in some ways, but there's always gonna be that, just because of a great superstar player like Giannis, like LeBron, like Kevin Durant, they can change your franchise. And I would even I think Joker is starting to approach that level too, just because of all the things that he does. I don't know if I'm ready to put him there yet, just because of the, I feel like I want to see a little bit more like takeover playoff success. He kind of is giving me like early LeBron before he went to, early LeBron before he went to Miami, before he learned how to win. Where he could raise the floor for a team, but like he's just missing that edge. Or that teammate even, right? That gets him over, helps get over the top. So maybe make me view him in that light. But I feel like he's just a little bit. But I digress. The thing is, I feel like those players, no matter what happens, they're always gonna have like some leverage. So.
Right. No, yeah, and he kind of lost some leverage, right? Because he came out, now he's saying it's okay. Obviously we know that the big issue with Kevin Durant is not his talent; it's that it's 4 years. Yeah. And a team's got to commit to that. Also, how are you going to make a trade for him and not make your team worse? When we think about a lot of superstars, especially superstars at his caliber, they usually just go, right? Like LeBron just left. KD, when he went to the Warriors, they didn't really trade anyone. He just went, right? He just showed up. So if they would have tried to trade for him, it'd be tough because, like, okay, well, then we got to give up what? Draymond. Now, are we even getting better? Because we're going to lose someone. What do we got? Instead of just adding you, right? We can't just add you. We got to give up players. And, we saw Boston tried it, and then, like, they want too much. And if we give them all that, we're kind of, like, breaking even anyway, because now we lost some of the goods. So it was a tough situation. Looks like it's done. I'm still not, like, 100%. I want to see how the first, like, month of the season goes. Mm-hmm. If they're, like, losing or Kyrie's sitting out or Ben's just not there yet, I wonder if we hear more about this. But, hey, I'll take their word for it. They said it's done. And, yeah, it's really interesting. I can't wait, man, when they have their, media day. Hearing Kevin Durant try to answer these questions is going to be hilarious because he's going to be angry and not give an answer and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's going to be. I'm definitely going to tune in on the Brooklyn Nets media day this year. It's going to be interesting.
To tune it, to bring it full circle, it's going to be like when Patrick Beverley, when they're asking like what it's like to defend LeBron.
And he's like, no challenge.
Like, no challenge. No issue. What was the issues with like trying to get together with the team? No issues. No issues at all. Like, you know what I mean?
All right. There you go. Well, you know what doesn't have any issues? Crypto.com Arena, because they are doing some brand new updates. This dropped in the middle of the week. LA Times did a good feature on it, talking about the updates that they're doing to the stadium. Of course, the reason the name got changed to Crypto.com Arena was, a financial one, get some more money, and the money's supposed to, be used to upgrade the stadium. I love the stadium, but it's definitely older, especially when you look at SoFi in Inglewood, and the Clippers are going to have their new home. I'm sure that's going to be state of the art. So crypto does need to have some little bit of updates. And, I'm going to briefly talk about a few of the updates they're going to have here. They're going to have an expanded chairman's club, going to offer select season ticket members with VIP. It's going to have installation of 2 new LED screens and ribbon boards visible for upper and lower areas, and a redesigned sports bar and grill. And they're also going to have the main concourse is going to be extended, and they're going to work on having an indoor-outdoor kind of section with LA Live. That way, it all kind of connects. So, Petty, did you get a chance to look at this? What did you think about these updates that we've heard of and seen a little bit of, like some mock, CGI stuff?
I think it's in line, with winning time and all these things showing like what the spirit of Dr. Bus, what he was, the atmosphere he was trying to create. I think it's perfect. I agree. Yeah, it's kind of like
I'm excited and looking forward to it.
It kind of has like that, like I said, it's a show. Like you can enjoy if the game's going bad and they're losing, you might be able to just go out to the patio, right, and enjoy yourself, right, have a drink and see some friends or kind of. And I like that they're mixing it with LA Live. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Hopefully, they keep updating it. I love going to crypto. It's probably my favorite stadium, but when I look at just like what it is compared to other stadiums, it definitely doesn't fall short, but it's kind of like in the middle of the pack. Yeah. If you were like a neutral fan and you're just rank the stadium, you'd probably be like, oh, it's super solid, right? You wouldn't give it an A. Now, when you add the Lakers and everything, then it becomes like, oh, this is home. So it was like the home you love, but you're like, well, it's not like state of the art, you know, it's just my house, you know. So doing these updates is going to kind of at least try to close that gap so it's not so big. So I definitely think that's important to do.
I agree.
Okay, and then rounding it up, we have a couple just like minor news beats we want to go on. One is Brownie got his first D1 offer, and it's to Duke, which is obviously awesome for him. He's going to, well, not going to Duke, but he's got an offer from Duke. I definitely would go to Duke if I got an offer, but, you know, Brownie's probably going to wait out his options. And also, on a more serious note, there finally was a settlement for Vanessa Bryant on the, you know, the issues of the helicopter crash that happened that resulted in Kobe's death. And they finally went to court and settled for, I believe it was $16 million, which she is going to donate to the Mamba Foundation, which is obviously an important thing. And how those pictures came out and all that distress that it caused when, you know, they shouldn't have been out. I'm glad that you know, they're paying her for that, and that she's using that for her foundation. I think that's obviously, it's still a sad scenario, but I think it's a good outcome given the circumstance. Yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine what that must feel like to have something like that out there, and it's disgusting. And I'm glad that, you know, that it's been taken care of, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to leave it there. All right, awesome. So, Petty, sneaker culture.
All right. Let's go. We're going to talk a little bit about sneaker news, sneakers. Let's get into it. First story up with Bloomberg. They were giving me coaching because for some reason I decided that I wanted to mispronounce it. I'm not even going to say it on air how I was pronouncing it. But Bloomberg, they posted this article today about a very important story. It's not very often that a lot of legal battles or a lot of legal things that you know, pertaining to sneakers. So when we do, we always got to make sure that we cover it. And so it looks like there's this story about Zadeh Kicks. And for people who don't know, Zadeh Kicks were a website where you could pay a little bit more for sneakers ahead of time for sneakers that were going to be coming out, but it would reserve your spot for the sneaker. So maybe if a sneaker was $250, you're paying $400 or $450 or something like that, just so that you could secure the sneaker automatically and not have to pay maybe the premiums that the sneaker could be, right? But basically, come to find out, it was a Ponzi scheme because the person was not able to procure the sneakers, that the amount of sneakers that people were putting into it. They were just buying them off StockX the same way that we would, right? So it ended up being like over, I want to say 300,000 or 600,000 sneakers that were purchased for the Cool Gray 11s that came out. And they were only able to get around 6,000 pairs. So that lets you know, like, the disparity. And also, when you think about the actual revenue that they were generating from that, and then not giving anything back and giving, like, you know, cheap credit and stuff like that. This article talks about that the way that they're going to try and reclaim some of this money is that they're going to have a court-appointed receiver try to get the sneakers, like, sell the sneakers off that the person actually has in hand, to give some of the money back to the people who've been, you know, defrauded. So the sneakers that he has are 48,000 pairs of Nikes, a little under 5,000 pair of Yeezys, and about 4,500 pairs of Adidas. So around 59,000 or 60,000 pairs of shoes. And they're gonna be selling those to try and, you know, make the money back. But I'm gonna let y'all know right now, that money gone.
Oh man.
Dude was seen buying Ferraris and estates and stuff like that. Yeah, it became a federal case, you know, which is like really rare for like sneakers, you know, for anything to do with sneakers. But sneakers resale is so big right now. There's so much money in it, and this guy, he was making all of it.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I've never heard a story like this. This kind of scandal is huge. You know, we were talking in episode 0 about, do you buy your sneakers, you know, on resale? How do you go about it? You mentioned that, you know, you try to make sure you always get them, you know, just a straight up way. And when you have to, you will use them. And I've used gold and stuff like that before too. But again, you know, some people that they want them so bad, they want to guarantee, even if you got to pay a little. But, you know, you got to make sure you feel trustworthy with the site or the person. If you don't know, if you haven't heard from someone else, it's legit. you can end up in trouble just because you want them so bad. You'll kind of take a risk that maybe you shouldn't take, and it sounds like a lot of people did that, and now the guy's getting charged for it.
And to add some context around this is like for a long time he was in fact that, right? So he's built up some credibility throughout the years, because years ago it was, sneakers weren't as big as they were, so he was able to procure those sneakers, right? And do it. So it wasn't like it was always that, but when you get too big for your britches, right?
Right. Yeah, so, and that's kind of how Ponzi schemes work too. Like you do pay some people, but you also don't pay others, and then that just not everyone knows what's going on. And I definitely heard of some eBay sellers that are like that, right? They will sell some legitimate, and some will be like not what's listed. That way, like there's mixed reviews on their site, because sometimes they are doing things on the up and up, and sometimes they're not. So yeah, it's crazy. Just try to be careful, y'all, or try to avoid the resale market as much as possible, because it gets crazy.
Wow, yeah, it's crazy. I was and when reading more into the article and stuff like that, it was saying that the guy's name is Malik Zadeh. I guess that makes sense since it's Zadeh Kicks. I guess he was charged for I've never even bilking customers out of more than 70 million and falsifying loans. That's so much money, like for some sneakers too. Like that's crazy, but. Man, that's a lot of that. You have to think how much money that is for a sneaker business. Like you said, that ultimate Ponzi scheme right there. I want to get into some more lighthearted news that I'm really excited about. Is that they are for our boy the Joker. I guess he is, right, a superstar. They're bringing back shoes for him, right? Joker
definitely.
They're bringing back the Hyperdunk 10s. People who are hoopers, who hooped in the 2010s 2012 era are very aware of this sneaker, because the Hyperdunk was like, it had the game in a chokehold. It had the game in a chokehold, like pro models used to have outdoor courts in a chokehold. Everybody was hooping in some form of Hyperdunk. I was able to I remember one pair of Hyperdunks, and then after that, it was like they were so popular, it was hard to even track down the cool colors that you wanted. I always remember seeing Jordan Clarkson in those off-white Hyperdunks that from the 10 that Virgil dropped. That was like so cool. I'm like, I can't believe he's hooping in those. Those shoes are like going for how much, right? So I think that's pretty cool. You ever have a pair of Hyperdunks?
No, I've never had them. These look sick though. I really like these. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on these and see what the situation is. And yeah, Joker was just killing it right now, beating Giannis in Euroball. So that was a fun game. He beat him in overtime. I was looking at the highlights on Twitter. It looked like a good game. I might have to check out the full game later. But yeah, Joker is becoming a player of that caliber, right? It's hard for big men to kind of get these kind of shoes and for them to really pop. So I think Nike did a good job saying, hey, the Hyperdunk's beloved. You bring it with Joker, kind of mix and match them and get some more interest. See if you can get some bigger exclusives and bigger signature shoes for Joker. And he's getting bigger, like you mentioned. I think you mentioned off the recording that he's kind of getting to that level. So yeah, this is another example of that.
Absolutely, yeah. You made a really good point too. I know that in general, big men it's kind of difficult for them to sell sneakers. I mean, they struggled at time with Shaq. And Shaq might be the most marketable big man of all time, right? And that's why you don't see a lot of big men with sneakers, right?
Yeah.
AD don't have a sneaker. Embiid kind of has a sneaker, but it's Under Armour. So.
Zion's been low key because of the injury, so that hasn't popped either.
Yeah, and I would say he's less of a traditional big man, because you see him having to jump super high. He's not as tall as as LeBron, where it's like he can just turn around and dunk without doing anything,
Right.
But I guess you could say LeBron's kind of a big man too, and he sold lots of sneakers.
Right. Yeah. I think the you can play the wings kind of got to be part of it. Again, kind of started with Jordan. Like you have to be like an action player, right?
Yeah.
And like those post up moves and doing that, it just, I don't know. I guess people just can't envision themselves being cool in those shoes. I don't get it. Like Shaq was so dominant, but Yeah, like you said, his shoes never picked up. Probably the most popular ones are like the Ewings, probably like the most iconic like big man shoe. Hakeem, I don't remember if he had any. You know, so there've been plenty of great bigs.
No, you're right. I would say like big man. I know they had the Shaqnosis, the Reebok Shaqnosis ones. Those ones are like pretty popular and they have like a very niche like love, like people who have that 90s kind of era.
Yeah, 90s
right?
nostalgia,
90s nostalgia era. It's kind of like the Penny Hardaways, where they're not like super mainstream popular, but like there's enough of it for them to bring it back and people are buying it, and people who like the story behind it, they can kind of get into it. A little one that wasn't on the docket today that I wanted to bring up while we have time is I wanted to talk about that. It's pretty cool that like he's been around the league so long. He debuted those pink LeBron 20s like a few weeks ago, or maybe like last month. But over the last couple weeks, he's had his sons debut other colorways, and I just think that's like such a unique and special thing that's never been done before. I mean, you would almost say like this is like, you know, LeVar Ball like crawled so that LeBron could walk. As far as, you know, your sons being able to have their own shoe, you know. It's a little bit different, but you know, I just wanted to give some shout out to that because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. Especially because, you know, it's funny. LeVar was the one talking about all my sons will play for the Lakers, but LeBron might actually be the one who gets that done.
Facts. Also, the next thing on the docket is going to be they just showed the first pictures for a pair of these upcoming Yeezys, the slides. I have yet to be able to get my hand on a pair of Yeezy slides. Like, I'm not going to pay $200 for a pair of like already paying like the price for it, like I think like 85 or something like that, or 80 for like just in general, foam is like already like starting to test my like hustler ethics. You know what I mean? Test my like, is this too much, right? But I really like this colorway, especially me getting back into football. I feel like, you know, with some yellow socks, you know, I can turn this up into some Charger, or like people who are Rams fans, right? I feel like it's kind of maybe it might be, it might be even more of a Rams blue than a Charger one, because I know that you kind of have more of the powder blue. But yeah, I feel like you could, you know, flex these out a little bit. What do you think about these?
I've seen the Yeezy slides in person the other day, and I was like, oh man, they're here. Like, I saw them at the store. I was like, yo, those are crazy. So as I mentioned on our episode 0, you know, I got some Crocs, so I'm getting more into slides and into like, you know, kind of like comfortable fashion, if you will. So yeah, I dig these. I like them. The price, like you said, the regular price is good. The resale is kind of wild, and it's like, man, with that money, you could probably just get like a straight up shoe, right? Versus like a slide, kind of more in the regular sneaker price versus just being a slide. So but I do like them. I think they do look interesting, and even at that price point, I'm kind of okay with them. It's just the resale one that's a bit much.
That's for me. There was one pair, the only pair that I've paid resale for, and I want to say maybe the last 2 or 3 years, is I wanted those Soleil Bembry Crocs, the ones that I was showing you. Like the fingerprint. Ones, I paid resale for those ones. So I was, I was like, there's just sometimes you have that pair of shoes, you're like, I gotta get it at whatever whatever price, right?
That's how I'm with the Mambas. Like, I'm just gonna pay what the resellers say it's gotta be, because it's hard to get, and I'm like, it's a classic shoe. Like, you got to do it. So yeah, there are times.
And for anybody who's wanting to know, it's the Yeezy Slide Azure colorway. That's the official color of that. And then also too, I think the other one that I had, I think Dalton, we were running to those broccoli and beef. This pair of shoes. So I missed the wave on this. This was not like a thing that I was, super into myself. The Jordan 9 is like one of the not one of the sneakers that I was really into, but they kind of did this like, boot aspect with it, and the brief and broccoli colorway is like a popular for this one, so I wanted to give it a little shine. Basically they announced that it's going to be coming back later this year, and I might peep it, because I'm kind of feeling that, like, especially right now with the like hiking and outdoors kind of looks being more of at the up like the style right now. I might have to peep this. You know.
This one's too New York for me. I do like the hiking idea for you, but this is too New York for me. I'm like, I can't. Where are we going? That I need these industrial shoes. You know? So for me, I'm like, this one's a no. I do like your hiking. Now that makes me think, okay, cool. I hike out here too. You know, in LA, all over. Like we have plenty of mountain ranges and stuff. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I just can't imagine me going to the mall with these big things on, just stomping on the cement. Like it's a bit much.
Absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Also, one other thing I should add is that there has been some leaked images of a prototype pair of Kobe 8s. People are wondering what is going to be the next Kobe, right, that comes out now that the estate with the Bryant family has been renewed, that relationship has been brought back together. What is going to be the next sneaker? One of my favorite YouTubers, Soul Brothers, he shared some pictures. I'll make sure I link that in the description for the video. But he showed it, and it was like a gray pair of, it was like a leaked pair. So I think the Kobe 8, it's pretty safe to say. Usually these are pretty, you know, anytime something like that leaks, it's usually pretty spot on. I mean, nobody's out there making fake Kobe's right now, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And it's because it's such a performance shoe, it's so difficult to even manufacture where it looks real. So that's probably going to be the next Kobe that drops.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm definitely, you know, in the need for some more Kobe, so I'll be keeping a lookout on that.
Perfect. All right, now to enter into our pop culture section, we are gonna talk about the long-awaited She-Hulk series. So, as we mentioned earlier, we tried to go. I said that we were going to go into it the first episode, or episode 0, and we just didn't have time because there was so much that happened. Even this week, we were trying to stretch it, you know, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have to say, to give my honest review of She-Hulk, I have to give the first episode at least a 7 out of 10. I thought it was really funny. I think that this isn't this is a show like where it breaks the fourth wall, where she talks to you, the viewer. I like that. You know, I think that it's like, I don't know, you're a green woman who's walking around in court, like you're a Hulk walking around in a you know, a suit, you know, being a lawyer. So it's like, you can't take yourself too seriously, right? If you're gonna have something like this, you want it to be like where it doesn't break that, like, man, this is just like, this would never happen in their world, but you know, kind of like not taking itself too seriously. And I think there's some pretty strong, you know, some very strong themes in here, when it comes to like, you know, some of the struggles that women have to go through. And I think that though I can't always relate to them, I can appreciate that there's a space for like those people who relate to that, you know, like, you know, who relate to that, like getting to see themselves in it. Like I saw a tweet that said like, every time I see like a scene, I'm like, oh, that's so me. And it was a, you know, a young woman, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And, you know, it's like sometimes people just like are so self-centered, especially like as men, like we can just be like, man, this is not what I wanted to see, right? Or what I wanted to, what I want for myself, or want to like what I enjoy, but it's like, it's not always for us, right? There's going to be cool stuff that we can enjoy, but like not everything is for us. And I felt like this show is, it made me feel like, okay, this feels like it's for women who feel have a certain type of plight that I can't really relate to, you know? I can understand it, and I understand the plight, but it's not something I'm like, it hits home with me, right? So
yeah, with the Marvel stuff, I'm a big Marvel fan. I kind of watched just about, I think I have watched just about everything that they've ever done. So yeah, I'm liking it so far. It's still early parts. I haven't watched episode 2. It's already out, but I'll probably watch it tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, it's nice that I like that they're experimenting and they're doing different stuff. The Marvel Universe, it's funny because sometimes, you know, some of the people on the television side get mad, like, oh, I don't want this, I want this. I'm like, the comics do all types of crazy stuff all the time. You know, there's Thor comics where he's a frog. Like, there's crazy stuff out there. So, like, don't think that the MCU is different, but also, like, the MCU is trying to expand to all the stuff that the comics have done, right? Like all the villains, all different characters, all the multiverses, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to see different perspectives. It's not just going to be, Tony Stark, forever, right? We're gonna get different Spider-Mans. We have a She-Hulk and a regular Hulk, and different dimensions and different characters looking and acting different ways. So I like the fact that it's out there. I think it's a solid start. We'll see how good the series is and how good it is compared to the other Disney Plus Marvel shows they've done. But so far, they've had, I think, a really solid run. And I'm really liking this new phase. And hopefully, it can start picking up steam. We start to see some more of the big bads and all that. But yeah, so far so good for me too.
Got it. And normally I would let it go. I would normally let it go. But I have to say, if a strong woman makes you feel uncomfortable and insecure, maybe you should do some introspection, fellas.
Yeah, there might be something to do. Yeah, just something to think about. Yeah.
Whether you disagree or not with certain themes, like if it really bothers you that much, maybe it's more of something that you should be self-reflecting and ask yourself, why am I so insecure about this? So I'll leave it at that. But I'm sorry, I just couldn't let it go. We were talking about we should probably stay with. No, I'm not. I refuse. No. Before we go, our shout out to our fearless leader and person behind the screens, pulling all the strings, Dalton. Gotta ask you before we head out, anything going on with your 76ers?
DeAnthony Melton, Drew League Championship game MVP. Book it. Nothing else I can mention. Skinny Harden, we love to see it.
Oh yeah, he was doing his Childish Gambino reenactment there of This Is America. He was
yeah, man. It's something about those off-season black and white photos. It'd be like, you think, man, this is about to be a Nike commercial this season.
I exclusively drink James Harden's wine now. That's it.
The beer. That's cool. How is it? Is it good?
Oh no, I haven't begun yet, but I will let you know when I do.
Okay, please do. We
want a drunken stupor for the rest of my life.
Yeah. He's gonna be doing random step backs.
Joke's on you. I do that.
Flopping all over campus. Just flopping all over campus. Like, hey, what?
Man, no. Yeah, we want to know.
Police. Hey, help me out here.
Yes, we want a full palate review when you do finally get to drink some, and we want to know. We want to know about the James Harden wine. I will pick up a bottle if you recommend it. Okay.
Will do. Let's do this.
All right, cool. Thank you guys for everybody for checking out our video. Our ads are on the screen if you don't know. I'm at the Pettiest LA. Edwin is at eCreates88. And you can find us on all platforms. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. No, I'm kidding. No Facebook. And we're going to continue to keep giving you guys awesome content. And make sure that you guys, comment. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. I hate doing all that, but it helps us. We really do appreciate it, and it makes it so that we can continue to give you dope content. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with your friends. So you guys have a great rest of your day or evening whenever you're watching this. Petty in the Post, over and out.
All eyes on me, coming out the lead, and you know it's IP. Ice white shit, and we on the